And I would recommend to any of you that if you have the opportunity to take a cruise out of a foreign port. Because if you take a cruise, let's say for us, it's out of San Francisco or Long Beach or Los Angeles or something like that, or even back east, if you go out of Boston or New York or Florida, it's primarily going to be Americans. And so you kind of know what to expect. I hate to say it, but Americans are fairly predictable. I think that's a blessing and a curse. And on this cruise, it was more of an international cruise because right now, and again, this is from speaking to other people, that people are apprehensive about traveling to the United States because, such a tumultuous time. And again, I'm not getting political, but I'm just speaking of facts. And as I spoke to people, I realized that a lot of people felt safer going to Canada to go out on their cruise than they might have felt coming to the States. And so what they did is they took the cruise out of Vancouver. So it was an international cruise. The vibe was a little bit different because Europeans and Australians and New Zealanders and all those folks that came up to go on that cruise, and even Canadians, just have a different way of moving. All of the pleases and thank yous and let me get the door for you and excuse me's. They don't do all that. They're just like, hey, move, get out the way. This is where I'm going, and that's where it's at. And if you have a conversation, the conversation is going to be 100% real. In a lot of cases, it's never anybody. No, I'm not going to stereotype one way or the other, but the conventions, the social conventions are different, and so you have the opportunity to experience that and understand things in a different way. But it was also an opportunity to understand, how do Canadians feel about Canada? How do Canadians feel about Americans? How do Canadians feel about this political climate? How did the U.S. election impact the Canadian election? How, what are some of the focuses socially on people there? So we had the opportunity to experience that, and it was kind of interesting because I think on that cruise, the Americans were actually the minority. So we had what I call the John Deere contingent because a lot of folks that were there were from the northern part of the Midwest and coming from farms, and they were big on John Deere. So I had the opportunity to have conversations with people from that part of the country, and I I truly believe that in general, most people have the same set of needs. They want to take care of their family. They want to be able to feed their family, make a little bit of money, do what they need to do, and have a little fun and just live their lives. There's just different views on doing that. And so I had a conversation with a guy about vaccines and that vaccines work, and I follow the science. And he didn't necessarily believe that, but he was on a farm and probably only saw 5 people a year. So